The Bible, the most sacred book of Christianity, is full of famous and often mentioned figures such as Moses, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Esau, and many others. Their names run through hundreds of pages of this ancient text, playing key roles in the stories of faith, obedience, and God's plan. However, while these names are deeply embedded in the collective memory of believers, there are also unnamed characters whose traces and deeds often remain in the shadows. Their quiet presence often carries just as many profound messages and lessons about faith and commitment. We often think about these unnamed characters who, although nameless, leave a surprisingly deep and indelible mark on the Bible. Their stories have in common that they are modest, almost invisible, but their influence on the development of Christian faith and moral values is significant. Their anonymity becomes perhaps even more intriguing when we realize that, although nameless, they played key roles in the formation of many doctrines and teachings of various churches and denominations. The unnamed captain, who came to Jesus begging for the healing of his also unnamed servant, represents the true picture of faith. Although we do not have their names, their story emphasizes faith in God's power. Their story reminds us that faith does not rely only on names and positions, but on true faith and trust in God's power. Similarly, the woman who touched the clothes of Jesus we read about in Luke 8 verses 43 to 48, and a woman who had a hemorrhage for 12 years, and could not be healed by anyone, came up behind him and touched the fringe of his cloak, and immediately her hemorrhage stopped. And Jesus said, "Who is the one who touched me?" And while they were all denying it, Peter said, "Master, the people are crowding and pressing in on you." But Jesus said, "Someone did touch me, for I was aware that power had gone out of me." When the woman saw that she had not escaped notice, she came trembling and fell down before him, and declared in the presence of all the people the reason why she had touched him, and how she had been immediately healed. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well, go in peace." Also the Samaritan woman we read about in John 4 verses 6 to 13. And Jacob's well was there. So Jesus, being weary from his journey, was sitting thus by the well. It was about the 6th hour. The woman of Samaria. There came a woman of Samaria to draw water. Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink." For his disciples had gone away into the city to buy food. Therefore the Samaritan woman said to him, "How is it that you, being a Jew, ask me for a drink since I am a Samaritan woman?" For Jews have no dealings with Samaritans. Jesus answered and said to her, "If you knew the gift of God, and who it is who says to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." She said to him, "Sir, you have nothing to draw with and the well is deep, where then do you get that living water? You are not greater than our father Jacob, are you, who gave us the well, and drank of it himself and his sons and his cattle?" Jesus answered and said to her, "Everyone who drinks of this water will thirst again." These are examples of faith that brought healing and knowledge of God's love. Their anonymity reminds us that often the essence of faith lies in its pure and honest expression, without the need for fame or recognition. Their works became an inspiration for many generations of believers, showing that one should not seek attention and glory, but sincerely follow God's ways. In addition to these unnamed characters, we often come across many other figures in the Bible whose works had a profound impact on Christianity. Names such as Abraham's servant Hagar, who gave birth to his son Ishmael, She was only a servant and received a promise that a great nation would arise from her son, or a good Samaritan, and an injured man, may not be mentioned as often as Moses or Abraham, but they are left indelible traces. This story reminds us that works and faith are inseparable. James 2 verses 14 to 26 reminds us of the importance of works in our faith. What use is it, my brethren, if someone says he has faith but he has no works? Can that faith save him? If a brother or sister is without clothing and in need of daily food, and one of you says to them, "Go in peace, be warmed and be filled," and yet you do not give them what is necessary for their body, what use is that? Even so faith, if it has no works, is dead, being by itself. But someone may well say, "You have faith and I have works, show me your faith without the works, and I will show you my faith by my works." You believe that God is one. You do well, the demons also believe, and shudder. But are you willing to recognize, you foolish fellow, that faith without works is useless? Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he offered up Isaac his son on the altar? You see that faith was working with his works, and as a result of the works, faith was perfected. And the scripture was fulfilled which says, "And Abraham believed God, and it was reckoned to him as righteousness, and he was called the friend of God." You see that a man is justified by works and not by faith alone. In the same way, wasn't Rahab the harlot also justified by works when she received the messengers and sent them out by another way? For just as the body without the spirit is dead, so also faith without works is dead. Works are the expression of our faith, and faith without works is dead. Works are the way we show our faith and contribute to the welfare of others. The unnamed characters of the Bible and their deeds remind us that we don't have to be famous or have names that will be remembered through the ages to make a deep and lasting impact on the world around us. They remind us that works matter, and faith manifested through works has the power to transform lives and shape history. Finally, the Bible reminds us that works and faith are interconnected and inseparable, so that any, perhaps violent, separation of these two conditions of true faith would be completely harmful or even catastrophic for salvation. Is there any in your life? Are we ready to follow the examples of these unsung heroes and fill the world around us with faith and works? These unnamed characters from the Bible teach us that it is not important whether our names will be remembered throughout the ages, but what is important is that our deeds will leave an indelible mark in the hearts and minds of those who come after us, just as they did for us through their silent, but deeply meaningful stories. And finally those names as well as our names will be written according to the works we left as a trace, because God said that we will be judged by our works. In Matthew 16 verse 27 it said, "For the Son of Man is going to come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and will then repay every man according to his deeds." God bless you all.